The Lord is your shepherd. On my recent pilgrimage to the Isle of Iona in Scotland, one morning I was headed. I just need to. I'm just waving to the people who got caught at the Walpoocut Bridge. So there were some distress calls coming in about that. So I'm glad they made it. Good to have everybody here. But on my recent pilgrimage, I was walking one morning, and I was headed to the north coast of the island, kind of a wild sort of place. The way that you enter the area is you go through a livestock gate, and you head down to the beach, and it was just maybe not even 100 yards away from there, where Vikings once raided the monastery and killed over 60 monks. So it's a place just steeped in history and steeped in the faith. And as I was walking, I went past a pasture, and there were sheep grazing in this pasture. Now the sheep were grazing, either grazing languidly, or they were resting. Some of the little lambs were nursing, and it was a bucolic scene. One, I suspected, not unlike that of centuries before on this ancient holy island. And then a young man rode by in an all-terrain vehicle. Not just any all-terrain vehicle, but one of the souped-up ones that are heavy-duty, that some people around here have. Maybe you've seen them. Anyway, he appeared to be on a mission. And he entered the pasture through another gate, and these heretofore silent sheep at once began to bleat enthusiastically and gather around this young man and run after him. It was morning, as I said, and while it is certainly possible that the sheep did not remember that they had perhaps just eaten breakfast a little while earlier, what was crystal clear certain was the sheep knew the young man. The sheep knew the young man, and he knew them. Those sheep knew their shepherd. Pope Francis used to like to say that the shepherd, any shepherd needs to smell like the sheep. The shepherds need to smell like the sheep. Meaning, of course, that the shepherd is not removed from the sheep, but lives amongst them. It's what God chose to do by becoming human in the person of Jesus Christ. God chose not to be remote or distant, apart, but rather to be among and become one with us, his beloved flock. Because God is like a shepherd. The Lord is my shepherd. The Lord is your shepherd. My shepherd will supply my need, as the hymn goes. Now, over the last few days, I suspect some of you probably have been, as I have, you've looked at the news and you've read about Pope Leo's election, and that has stirred much excitement and anticipation, I think, around the world. And you may say, well, we're not Roman Catholic, so why would that be a big deal to us? And I would just say that for those of us in liturgical traditions, we recognize that anytime there is any kind of renewal in Rome, then there's going to be renewal that impacts us all. It happened with liturgical renewal. It's happened at other times. Leo, as you know, he took the name Leo the 14th. Leo the 13th was of course known for his stance on behalf of the poor, and he cared about workers and proper living wages and conditions. And, and that gave rise to what we later would call the social gospel. And it was our own Bishop Gary who was a real proponent of the social gospel in the early part of the 1900s. And it was that stance, of course, that would get him killed when he decided that actually the church needs to be open to everyone. And that got him killed, as you know. So you may say, even back then, the goings-on of a pope in Rome impacted us here in South Carolina in a strong way. Now, we in Anglicanism have always seen ourselves as a bridge between Catholic and Protestant. It's why when we ask in confirmation class, when we say, okay, you're Episcopalian, are you Catholic or Protestant? What is the answer? Yes. Yes. We're not either or people, we are both and. Okay? So we have Elizabeth I and her genius sensibilities to thank for this. And so the new Pope has said that to be a good shepherd means to walk side by side with the people of God and to live close to them, to not be isolated. And he says this because Jesus walks side by side with us and dwells among us and was never isolated as he walked this earth, exemplifying for us the true nature of community. In today's world, it sometimes seems that we expect people who struggle, and I don't know if you have thought about this lately, but there are a lot of people struggling today in our world. Maybe they're family members, maybe they're friends of yours. It sometimes seems that we expect people to struggle all on their own and get it together all on their own. But they and we need community. We all need community. We cannot do it or go it alone. Just as sheep are part of a flock, so are we. If the world has shown us, if the world has been shown anything over the last few years, it is that isolation wounds the spirit and damages the soul. Isolation wounds the spirit and damages the soul. We're called to community. There's a wonderful poem in Spanish that I had a little fun translating. And it's written by a Mexican priest from the 18th century near the city of San Miguel de Allende. And the name of the priest is Luis Felipe Neri de Alfaro. And it's titled Pasto y Pastor. And it goes like this. This is he lived in the village of Atotonilco outside of Mexico, and our friends the Allens have just been lovingly restoring an old property there, and it's a place where I am fortunate enough to go on retreat from time to time. It's a little easier to get to Mexico than it is to get to Iona, But anyway, this is what his poem says. Pasto y pastor. Pasto, it's the play on words in Spanish, so the English loses the poetry, of course, but pasture, grazing land, and pastor, or shepherd. Pasture and shepherd. What a rare offering the heavens give to you, O pilgrim. Pasture and shepherd. Blessed is your destiny if you know how to appreciate such a calling. Pasture and shepherd at once the same. What a portent. Divine is the pasture, divine the shepherd. With such a shepherd, the path can never be lost. With such a pasture, neither can one lose spirit. You are my Jesus, my pasture and shepherd. You see that? You, my Jesus, my pasture. You're the very ground of my being. My grazing land, where I am nourished, where I am fed, the poet is saying. Divine is the pasture, divine the shepherd. You, my Jesus, my pasture and shepherd. Your word guides me, reordering all my nonsense, announcing happy fortune in everything. You are my shepherd. I no longer fear loss. I no longer fear loss. And there's a lot of loss in the world today. You are my pasture, the poet goes on to say. I no longer fear death. And yes, there's a lot of death in the world, and that it comes to us all. You are my shepherd, I no longer fear loss. You are my pasture, I no longer fear death. Friends, the Lord is your shepherd. Amen.